Hi there and welcome, fellow truth seeker. Are you ready to explore what Einstein knew, what's hidden from the public eye, and why his words could change the course of history forever? As the 20th century drew to a close, the world found itself at a crossroads. The Cold War had ended, and many hoped that global tensions would subside. However, a looming fear of nuclear catastrophe still haunted humanity, even as technology surged ahead at an unprecedented rate. While nations sought to develop more powerful weapons, breakthroughs in quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, and biotechnology were transforming the fabric of life. Yet, amid these advances, Albert Einstein's famous warning seemed more relevant than ever. I don't know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Einstein's caution wasn't merely about nuclear war, it was a forewarning of civilization's vulnerability. His concern was that, in our pursuit of power, we might destroy the very advancements that had brought us progress. By the 1990s, global tensions were rising. Economic rivalries between superpowers, conflicts in the Middle East, and the rapid development of technology led to widespread fears of an uncertain future. Scholars, scientists, and politicians began to consider whether we were heading toward a situation where Einstein's prediction might come true. The digital age had dawned, but with it came hidden dangers. Technology was becoming deeply integrated into everyday life, but its potential for destruction was just as immense. Cyber warfare, along with the unchecked development of weapons of mass destruction, was becoming a reality. Nuclear weapons were no longer the only concern. Biological and chemical weapons were being covertly developed, capable of wiping out entire populations. Superpowers no longer needed large armies to cause devastation. With the push of a button, they could trigger a catastrophic event on a global scale. Meanwhile, the world was becoming increasingly interconnected through globalization. But rather than bringing unity, this new global order was creating more disparity. Wealthier nations accumulated resources and power, while developing countries struggled with crippling debt. Globalization, once thought to promise equality, was now fueling nationalism and political instability. As the divide between rich and poor nations grew wider, it became clear that Einstein's warning wasn't just a theoretical possibility. It was becoming a frightening reality. By the end of the century, it was clear that technological advancements were reshaping human civilization in profound ways. Computers, artificial intelligence, satellites, and other tools were changing the world, but they also carried immense risks. Nations were using these tools not just for economic growth, but as weapons of war. Cyber attacks, advanced missile systems, and biological weapons were all part of the new global conflict that had shifted beyond traditional battlefields. The events of the Gulf War in 1991 and the Kosovo War in 1999 showed how technology was being used for military superiority, but they also highlighted the growing threat of an unseen, far more dangerous kind of warfare. At the same time, the world was grappling with the rapid development of weapons of mass destruction. The focus was no longer just on nuclear arms. The research into biological and chemical warfare was intensifying. Governments were secretly funding the creation of weapons capable of wiping out entire populations without needing large-scale armies. As technology advanced, so did the ways in which it could be used to cause harm. Economic inequality was also a significant issue. While some countries prospered, others were left behind, struggling under the weight of debt. Globalization, which had promised to bring nations together, instead became a battleground for control. As the 21st century approached, nationalism began to rise again, and political instability increased. Leaders were forced to confront the fact that the world's progress was coming at a dangerous price. What had started as an optimistic journey into the digital age now seemed to be veering toward a dangerous path, one that could lead to catastrophic consequences. As the 20th century ended, the world was left standing on the brink of a new era, one that held both incredible promise and terrifying dangers. Einstein's warning about the potential for humanity to undo its own progress had never seemed more relevant. The rapid growth of technology, while offering opportunities for a better world, also carried with it the potential for destruction. The very tools that were meant to improve life, computers, satellites, artificial intelligence, could also be used to bring about our downfall. The global political and economic systems were on the edge of transformation, and the outcome was uncertain. Would humanity be able to harness technology for good, or would it ultimately lead to our undoing? As the world entered the new millennium, the question of how to balance technological growth with global stability became more pressing. The promise of a connected, prosperous world was now in jeopardy, and the possibility of destruction seemed just as real as the potential for progress. The turn of the century was not only a time for reflection, but also a time for action. The rapid advancement of technology had brought humanity to a point where it could either soar to new heights or descend into chaos. The choices made in the coming years would shape the future of civilization, determining whether the advancements of the 20th century would lead to a brighter future or a catastrophic collapse. As Einstein had warned, humanity's greatest challenge was not the ability to create new technologies, but the wisdom to use them wisely. When the Cold War ended in 1991, many people thought the worst was over. But the danger didn't go away. It just became harder to see. The threat of nuclear weapons was still there. Quiet, but very real. After the Soviet Union fell apart, the world became more unstable. Before, only 2 big countries had most of the nuclear weapons. Now, more nations were joining in. In 1998, India and Pakistan tested nuclear bombs. This showed that more countries were becoming part of the nuclear club. At the same time, dangerous groups and individuals began searching for ways to get their hands on these weapons as well. Experts warned that it would only take one mistake, one bad decision, or one angry leader to start something terrible. If even one nuclear bomb exploded, it could lead to something much worse. A small war could block out the sun, ruin crops, and make it hard for anyone to survive. Life on Earth could change forever. For years, world leaders believed in a rule called mutual assured destruction. It meant that if one country used a nuclear weapon, the other would strike back, and both sides would lose. Because of that, no one wanted to go first. But what if something went wrong? What if a computer failed, or a leader made a bad call? The system was not perfect, and many people worried it could break. But nuclear weapons were not the only danger. A new kind of threat was growing quietly in the background: cyber attacks and artificial intelligence. In the late 1990s, the internet became a part of everyday life. People used it to talk, shop, and work. But it also opened the door to new kinds of attacks. Hackers and enemy countries started trying to shut down power, steal money, and cause problems without using any weapons at all. At the same time, scientists were working on machines that could think for themselves. This was called artificial intelligence, or AI. At first, it seemed helpful, but soon people realized AI might also be used in war. Drones were being built to fly and fight without humans. Defense systems could one day decide when to attack without asking a person. This made people worry. What if the machines made the wrong decision? What if they turned against us? Some said AI might be the last invention humans ever make, because once machines can learn and grow on their own, we might not be able to stop them. While all this was happening, the world's economy also started to break down. In 1997, the Asian financial crisis caused many countries in Asia to suffer. Banks failed, people lost jobs. Whole economies collapsed. Because all countries are connected, this crisis spread. It showed how one problem in one part of the world could quickly affect many others. People became angry. They protested against unfair governments. They demanded change. The gap between rich and poor grew larger. And as people became more desperate, some turned to violence. Others followed extreme leaders who promised fast solutions. The world began to feel more unstable. As the year 2000 approached, many world leaders, scientists and thinkers started to worry. Einstein once said that if there was a World War III, the next war would be fought with sticks and stones. He meant that a big enough war could destroy everything and send us back to the beginning. This no longer seemed like just a warning. It felt like something that could really happen. So now we must ask, what will our future look like? Will we make peace and use our knowledge to help each other? Or will we make the same mistakes again and again until everything falls apart? The answer is still in our hands. We can choose. If this video made you think, please subscribe for more honest stories. Comment below, is the world moving toward peace or danger? What gives you hope? If you found this helpful, like and share so others can learn too. Thanks for watching. Your voice matters. Stay curious and stay aware.